When your dog looks at you, it may seem simple. Just a glance, just a wag, just a quiet body following you from room to room. But dogs rarely love in loud ways. They love in rituals, in waiting, in watching, in the tiny moments humans almost always underestimate. And that is where many relationships are quietly won or quietly lost. Because your dog is not only asking for food, exercise, or a place to sleep. Deep down, your dog is asking for something harder to name and easier to miss. A kind of love that feels safe. A kind of love that can be trusted. A kind of love that does not disappear when life gets busy, noisy, or inconvenient. And here's the part most people never realize. Your dog is already showing you what kind of love they need by the way they behave around you. The clinginess, the waiting at the door, the random zoomies after you laugh, the sigh they make when they finally settle beside you. None of that is random. It is emotional language. And once you learn to hear it, you stop seeing your dog as a pet who lives in your house and start seeing them as a heart that built its home inside yours. These are the 6 acts of love your dog hopes to receive from you for life. And the last one may be the one they need most. 1. Your dog hopes you will notice them before they have to ask. One of the deepest forms of love for a dog is being seen before they become desperate. Not just noticed when they bark. Not just touched when they jump. Not just taken outside when they can no longer hold it, but seen early. Dogs live close to the emotional surface. Long before behavior becomes a problem, there is usually a softer signal underneath it. A glance toward the leash. A slow pace by the door. Restlessness. A yawn. A paw placed gently on your leg. A dog does not always escalate because they are dramatic. Sometimes they escalate because subtle did not work. That changes how you hear barking, whining, or shadowing, doesn't it? What looks annoying is often just delayed communication. And when you start responding to the quiet version of their needs, something beautiful happens. Your dog becomes calmer. Not because they got more control, but because they got more trust. A dog who feels noticed does not have to perform distress to feel real. This is one reason emotionally attuned dogs often stay close without being frantic. They learn something powerful: I do not have to fall apart to be understood here. That may be one of the purest gifts you can give a dog. To make them feel that their inner world matters even when it is inconvenient. Even when it is quiet. Even when nobody else would have caught it. Love is not always responding fast. Sometimes love is noticing early. 2. Your dog hopes you will create safety, not just affection. A lot of people think love means being extra sweet to a dog. And yes, affection matters. Touch matters. Warmth matters. But to a dog, safety often means even more than affection. Because affection feels good in the moment. Safety changes the entire nervous system. This is why some dogs get endless kisses and still stay anxious. They are loved, but they do not feel safe. The home is unpredictable. Rules change from day to day. Voices rise suddenly. Boundaries are confusing. One day the couch is allowed, the next day it causes anger. One day the dog is invited close, the next day they are pushed away for doing the same thing. Humans call that inconsistency. A dog experiences it as emotional weather they can never predict. And no creature relaxes inside chaos. Dogs are pattern readers. Soft science keeps showing us that animals regulate better when their environment is predictable, and dog behavior reflects that constantly. Repeated routines, clear cues, and consistent responses reduce stress because the brain no longer has to stay on guard all the time. In other words, structure is not the opposite of love. For dogs, structure is often what love feels like. That is such a surprising reframe because many owners fear that being consistent looks cold. But a dog does not hear consistency as coldness. They hear it as I know who you are when I wake up. I know who you are when I make mistakes. I know what this relationship means. That kind of safety becomes invisible once it is present. But when it is missing, the dog feels it everywhere. A calm rule can be kinder than an emotional apology, because love that feels safe reaches deeper than love that only feels soft. 3. Your dog hopes you will stay emotionally steady when they are struggling. This one is hard because it asks something from us when we are already tired. But your dog needs more than your good mood. They need your steadiness. When dogs are overstimulated, fearful, frustrated, or overexcited, many humans accidentally mirror the chaos. The dog panics so the human gets louder. The dog pulls so the human jerks. The dog barks so the human snaps. And in that moment, the dog is not just dealing with the original stressor anymore. They are now also carrying your stress. That is why so many behavior spirals feel fast and hard to stop. Emotion travels down the leash. Your dog reads your breathing, your timing, your tension, your face, your voice. Sometimes what calms them is not a command. It is your nervous system refusing to turn their fear into a fight. This does not mean you must be perfect. Dogs do not need perfection. They need someone who can become an anchor more often than an alarm. Think about the moments when your dog seems needy after a scary sound, after a vet visit, after conflict in the home, or even after you have been emotionally distant all week. Many dogs do not run to us only for comfort. They run to check whether the relationship still feels safe. That is a hidden meaning behind clingy behavior that many people miss. Sometimes your dog is not asking, "Can you pet me?" They are asking, "Are we okay?" And when you answer that question with calm presence instead of irritation, you teach them a lesson they carry for life. Hard moments do not make love disappear. That is no small thing. For a dog, that may be the difference between living alert and living secure. 4. Your dog hopes you will share your life, not just manage theirs. There is a quiet sadness in being cared for but not included. Many dogs live decent lives on paper. They are fed, walked, groomed, housed, protected, but some are still emotionally starving. Because being managed is not the same as being bonded. Your dog does not only want your maintenance, they want your participation. They want the glance you give them when something funny happens. They want the pause while you speak to them like they matter. They want to come sit near you while you fold laundry work on the laptop or drink your coffee in silence. They want moments that say, "This is our life together," not just, "Here is your scheduled care." That is why dogs often follow their person into completely boring rooms. It was never about the room. It was about belonging. A dog lying outside the bathroom door is not being ridiculous. In a strangely tender way, they are saying, "Where you are feels like where I should be." That behavior is so ordinary that people laugh at it, but underneath it is one of the deepest relational instincts a dog has: proximity as connection. And the beautiful part is that connection does not always require grand gestures. A dog can feel deeply loved through a hand resting on their side while you read, through eye contact before you leave the house, through being spoken to with warmth instead of being treated like furniture with fur. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can give a dog is not more stimulation. It is more shared existence. Because when a dog feels included in the rhythm of your real life, they stop feeling like they must earn their place in it. And maybe that is what love does at its best. It stops making presence feel conditional. 5. Your dog hopes you will let them be understood, not mislabeled. Some dogs get called dramatic, some get called stubborn, some get called jealous, manipulative, naughty, spoiled, crazy. But very often those labels are just human frustration placed on top of canine emotion. And labels are dangerous because once we name a dog the wrong way, we stop being curious. A dog who guards a toy may not be bad. A dog who panics when left alone may not be spoiled. A dog who ignores a cue in a stressful moment may not be defiant. Behavior is often biography. There is history in it, sensitivity in it, fear in it, confusion in it, sometimes even heartbreak in it. The dog who startles easily may have lived too long in uncertainty. The dog who cannot settle may not need punishment. They may need help returning to a body that never fully learned how to relax. The dog who seems pushy may actually be terrified of disconnection. The reframe here is life-changing. Your dog is not giving you a hard time. Your dog may be having a hard time. And when owners truly absorb that, everything shifts. Correction becomes clearer and kinder. Training becomes more effective. Compassion stops being a reward for easy behavior and becomes a lens for all behavior. Dogs bloom around people who refuse to reduce them to their worst moment. That line matters because every dog has moments that are messy, inconvenient, and deeply unflattering. Just like us, love means not confusing a survival response with a personality flaw. It means looking at your dog and saying, in ways both spoken and unspoken, I will try to understand the feeling before I judge the behavior. For many dogs, that is the love they have been waiting for the longest. 6. Your dog hopes you will love them in a way that survives time. Puppies attract attention easily. Young dogs get photographed, celebrated, shown off, forgiven quickly. But lifelong love reveals itself later. When the muzzle goes gray, when the walks get slower, when hearing fades, when the same dog who once bounced through the house now takes a little longer to stand. This is where love becomes visible in its most honest form. Because an aging dog is no longer asking, am I exciting to you? They are asking, will you still cherish me when I become less convenient? That question breaks something open in people who truly love their dogs. Because the answer is supposed to be yes. Not just yes in theory. Yes in patience. Yes in gentleness. Yes in rearranging routines. Yes in kneeling down slower. Yes in repeating yourself. Yes in honoring who they have always been, even as their body changes around them. There is something sacred about staying tender with a dog who has already given you the best years of their life. And here is the part that hits hardest. Your dog does not measure love by how perfect you were. They measure it by whether your presence remained real, whether you kept showing up, whether your voice stayed kind, whether home still felt like home in the final chapters too. Dogs do not need a cinematic life. They need a faithful one. A faithful hand. A faithful tone. A faithful return. A faithful heart. That may be the 6th act of love they hope for all their life. Not temporary devotion, but enduring devotion. The kind that says, I am still here. The kind that says, you still matter. The kind that says, even now, especially now, you are not too much too old, too slow, or too late to be loved. And maybe that is what your dog has been trying to tell you all along. Not through words, but through the waiting. Through the watching. Through the way they choose you again and again, without needing a reason. Your dog does not need you to be flawless. They need you to be present enough to notice, steady enough to protect, open enough to understand, generous enough to include, patient enough to learn, and faithful enough to stay. Because in the end, the greatest act of love your dog hopes to receive is not perfection. It is a relationship they can rest inside. And if your dog can rest deeply beside you, follow you softly, look at you without tension, and exhale like their heart has finally found its place, then you have already given them something more powerful than most people ever realize. Not just care, not just affection, home.